Hey guys, how's it going? I got another really special guest here with me in this video. This is my son, Ian. Say hey. You say hey? No, he's not going to say hey. Don't be scared. Well, he's 4 years old, love him to death, and we're here at my parents' house in North Carolina. And again, shot a few of these videos here at my parents' house. My dad is doing the video. Love that. And I love coming home. It's so good to come home. It's so good to see my parents, to see family and friends, to have those common smells, and to see the common sights from my childhood, and have my son see those, and have him see where I grew up, and see some of the things I played with as a kid, and he can play with some of those same things, and we can play in the creek together. We might do that later on, and all sorts of stuff. It's always good to come home. Of course, now I live in northern Kentucky by the Creation Museum, close to the Ark Encounter, but it's always good to come back to North Carolina where I grew up, and to bring my son here as well. And you know, it makes me think about the lesson we're looking at today with Jacob coming home. God gives Jacob the command to go home. After 20 years, it's time to go home. And so Jacob obeys, and immediately he gets his family together and says, all right, guys, we're going to go. He doesn't tell Laban, probably out of fear. And so he flees from Laban with all his wives and all his kids and all his livestock. And Laban, of course, figures it out a few days later and chases after him and catches up. But of course, God tells Laban just not to say anything bad to Jacob and protects Jacob as God promised Jacob he would do. And Jacob and Laban eventually part in peace. And then he's headed home. And of course, probably Jacob's next big fear, I'm sure, by the way, Jacob was excited to come home. He probably couldn't wait to show his son his homeland, to see the familiar sights and sounds. But also, there's most likely some fear of what about his brother Esau? It's been 20 years. Has Esau forgiven him? Will there be a conflict? Will he slaughter me? Will he love me? What's going to happen? And so he's probably thinking about those things, excitement and fear. And of course, as he's approaching the promised land, the night before he meets Esau, he gets a very unique encounter with God. He wrestles with God. What does that even mean? How is that defined? It's so hard to comprehend. But he has this unique event, this unique experience with God. You can get down, buddy. And he has that experience. And as he's wrestling with God, he gets two big things. He gets a wrench tip where God had touched it, and then he gets a new name, Israel, which means fighter of God, or one who strives with God. This new name is prominent in the history of his lineage because it becomes the name of the nation of Israel. It's very, very important for multiple reasons. But a unique event. And so he gets the new name, and the next morning he's going to encounter his brother Esau. And he had planned ahead, probably a little bit of lack of faith here. He sent multiple gifts to Esau to try to woo him. And eventually they encountered each other. And Jacob had done something else as well. He had actually divided up his family. He put his wife's maidservants and their sons up front, and then Leah and her sons, and then Rachel and her son in the back. And that shows his favoritism. And that's going to have some ramifications later on in Joseph's life. We'll see that then. And so basically, he has them lined up that way. He goes out in the front, as you'll see in the lesson, and then he encounters his brother Esau. And at this climactic point, what's going to take place? Is there going to be a fight? Is there going to be reconciliation? What happens? One of my favorite things to read in the Old Testament. Esau runs to his brother Jacob, and he hugs him. And they weep together, and they kiss each other. And there's this beautiful scene of how all this hurt and all this pain for 20 years, in a sense, dissolves in a great way. And they come back together, and they are reunited in fellowship. And how relieved must Jacob have been? How awesome must that have been to see his brother accept him after 20 years of brokenness. And I love seeing that take place. And so as we look at that event, so many themes taking place. God's protecting Jacob as he told him he would. Jacob's coming to the promised land. Jacob's going to flourish, eventually become the nation of Israel with the new name Israel. And we see God's protection and his sovereign decree over all that. And we also see a beautiful picture of reconciliation. And of course, this should encourage us to be reconciled with those in our lives that we've had broken fellowship with. And also, most importantly, to be sure we are in right fellowship with God. That relationship was broken because of our sin. If we repent, put our faith in Christ, we can be saved, reconciled with God. There's nothing more beautiful than that. You guys have a great day.